Join Tarcia on this journey to discover the rest. Go.
Welcome to the Adoption Journey Podcast. I am your host, Tarcia Smith, and welcome to another week and another journey, another story. Before we get started, I got to remind you, Black Adoptees Meetup, go to blackadopteesmeetup.org to see all the things that are going on. We have a virtual meetup coming up. We're doing a movie night on June 20th. And of course, we're actually getting together in Chicago, October 3rd through the 5th. So go to the website. Check out all the things. Go to the Instagram. And then also for the Adoption Journey Podcast, go like, follow, share, subscribe, do all the things. All right, we got all that out the way.
Yeah, but it's important.
It's important, but yeah. So we have, let me say, I'm excited about this guest because she's different, y'all.
Different grammar. When I talk now.
She is different. I can't wait to hear her story. Hello, Anna.
Hi.
She is a fellow adoptee, and we are going to dive right in. Tell us how old you were when you found out you were adopted.
I think that was immediately, like as soon as I could understand the concept.
Okay.
Mostly because I'm a single kid with white parents raised in Sweden.
And there it is. And there it is.
Yeah.
So tell us where you were born, and then when your white parents adopted you, where did you go?
So I'm born in Salvador, in Bahia, Brazil, which is a big, it's a place with a lot of character, a lot of identity, a lot of culture, which I didn't have a chance to really reconnect with in the way that I would like. And I'm born much earlier than what I'm supposed to be born. So I weighed,
so you're premature.
Yes, I'm premature. And now I realize that you don't count in kilos, do you? No, you don't. No. So
if you tell me how much you weighed in kilos, I'm going to have to get this calculator and figure it out.
Yes, probably. I weighed like 1.4 kilos. So that's it's like I don't know if I can compare it, but it's like a package of milk.
Google.
Like 1.5 package of
So
milk.
you were 3 pounds.
Yeah. So I think I was extremely sensitive for everything, every impression, every change, everything. And that put me maybe in more spotlight than what it would have been otherwise, because I was allergic to everything, and I couldn't eat. Like I was allergic to everything.
Yeah, because you're 3 pounds, right?
Yeah. And I wasn't breastfed, so those two things, in the combination of being transported across the world, I think those things are
So
not brilliant.
How old were you when they adopted you?
So I came to Sweden when I was 6 weeks.
So you went from Brazil to Sweden.
Yes.
At 6 weeks old.
So I'm not sure how old I would have been if I would have been born in the right time. But I was 6 weeks from the day that I'm born. When I came to Sweden.
And traveled across the world at 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's not brilliant. It's not brilliant. Not at all.
So tell us, because you are born in Brazil. I'm looking at your skin tone. Absolutely gorgeous, by the way. And then you go to Sweden. And I'm pretty sure the people in Sweden do not look like you.
No. Okay. No, they don't. Like, no. And it's, I think it's maybe more, it's more mixed now. Because of the different, I'm 38, so it's a different society now, but it's also not a different society.
Got it.
So I'm raised with, the experience of being the only Black person in my neighborhood, the only Black person in my class, the only Black person in my school. Those 6, grade K to 6 or however you call it.
Yeah.
And simply always being socialized and needing to assimilate into an idea of whiteness.
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. I can't even get my words together because I got to go there because you just turned the corner for me. Did you grow up with parents that tried to introduce you to your culture, or did you grow up when you getting ready to just be a white person in this white world and just do all the white things, if you will?
So I think it's both. I think my parents really did their best in trying to balance all of these things and sides and identities and whatever.
Okay.
But they have simply been clueless of what it means. Sweden is a society that is colorblind, and they like to be colorblind. So it's a part of their social identity that they are proud of.
Can you explain that? Like, what does that look like?
So it means that they are proud to say, I don't see color. I'm definitely not a racist. And this is the narrative that I've heard in every possible form that you can express it in words and without.
Wow.
It's just that everybody knows that that's not true. Like every non-white person knows that that's not true.
Yeah.
Which means that the hyper visibility I've been experiencing as a Black person in this society got probably even more worse because I was allergic to everything. But also I'm not having a personality that is typically Swedish. You know, I'm not calm. I'm not quiet. I'm not... We have a word in Swedish that is called lagom. And it's like a word that you can only find in Sweden. So it means that you cannot be too much and you cannot be too little. You have to be in between, and then you're lagom.
And you are not.
No, I have no idea how lagom even feels like. I cannot relate to that at all. I was trying, obviously, but
your parents are Swedish? Okay,
they're like the whitest people on earth, Swedish. Yes. Okay.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but what made them go to Brazil and adopt?
So it was so there were 15 families in Stockholm at this time that adopted children from Brazil because somebody got a connection with a lawyer that could do these adoptions privately. So you didn't have to go through the big institution that was regulating the parenting courses you should have gone and blah, blah, blah. So they got a shortcut, which I'm not sure if for me personally, I know that my adoption was made legally in every single way because I met my biological mom and my grandfather and all of these
we'll get there.
people. It's easy. People are like, oh no, but then it's ruining the story. But I think they were more thinking about themselves and made this like an idea that, this small, chocolate child. And, you have these ideas
small
of how exotic and amazing and special it's going to be. So I'm raised with that type of energy around me, that I'm othered, which I don't think they meant it as a bad thing. But it's not at all what I feel comfortable with, and I don't think anyone feels.
Are you an only child?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so all the energy was just on you, all the focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. On this, how do you say this little chocolate child?
Yeah. And it's and I mess it up. The idea my mom had about me, I messed it up all the time. She sent me to dance ballet. I'm not a ballet dancer. Like, I don't have this energy of grace. I have more like, wow, let's go, fun. It's like ballet.
You're doing the samba and they want you to do ballet.
Yeah. And I was trying, obviously, because I thought I was supposed to do it and play the piano.
You're like, no, give me some drums.
Yeah, and it's just, but also they were trying to take me to these like African meetups or things that they found, but to come into a space where there's only Africans, like adult Africans, and I don't even know which country this is from because they just said Africa. This is the country that they are referring to. So I couldn't figure that out either these times, these memories that I'm thinking about now.
That is so interesting because you're from Brazil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, it doesn't match. Like I couldn't sort this properly when I was 10, 11, 12.
Sure.
Because I didn't even have word for it because we don't talk about color or ethnicity in Sweden.
Right.
Because we're colorblind and it's perfect. You know?
And you were
so
like,
you
this doesn't feel right.
No.
Wow.
And they couldn't relate to us either, me and the other adoptees that were there at two occasions or three, because we were just standing in a corner and we're like freaked out. We're like, what are they talking about?
How old were you?
What are they eating? Why are they sitting on the floor? Why should we sit in a circle with that? Like nothing in the socialization part matched of how we were raised. Which you realize.
You see the look on my face right now? I am just blown. How old were you?
Well, this maybe was when I was 7, 8.
Oh, you're
9.
a little girl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And they were, we were always straightening my hair because nobody could deal with my hair.
Get out of my head. I was literally getting ready to ask about the hair.
Yeah.
Go there.
Nobody could deal with my hair. So they were always
I wish I could see, because you got your beautiful head wrap on right now. But I wish I could see what they had to deal with. Oh, she's going to take it off for me?
Yeah, but it's not. It's just that I don't know how to deal with it.
Oh, your hair is beautiful.
And then it's because I don't know how to deal with it. Then I'd rather wear something that, just is beautiful and it's matching my energy. But
your hair is beautiful and matching your energy, ma'am.
Also. But people touch it, and
Tell
you know
them
this,
to
obviously.
not.
I know, and it's just like, I don't want to be pissed off every day. So
yeah, right. Tell them to not, because
and I do, and I get so upset when people do it, and they're like,
absolutely, because that you have to ask. Because even as a Black woman, and sometimes I'm like, can I touch your hair? I will ask.
Yeah, but if you ask, it's reasonable. I always ask. Sometimes.
And then I'm not going to ask a stranger. It's somebody I know.
Yeah, no, these are strangers. Like, and
just
I'm just
touching
like,
your hair.
get
They
out
just
of my
don't.
face.
So tell me, how was your mom dealing with your hair?
Well, so she went from thinking that it's extremely cute, which is also, touching it with a sense of that I'm othered, that I'm not like her, that I'm exotic, that it's special, that it's something, whatever. I'm not sure what she was thinking, but with this feeling that, wow, curiosity and you just feel like you're somebody at the zoo when people do that in general. I think everybody knows that also. So it was either to have that, and everybody touched it in school. Everybody was making fun of me. Everybody was just, it was not cozy. Or go to the hairdresser and straighten it. And
straighten it with what? What were they
these chemicals that makes you cry when you get it on the skin. That you're supposed to sit with an hour or whatever it is.
An hour?
Yeah, we were sitting a lot because they didn't want to go there so often. So we were sitting there a long time, and we were holding the chairs and crying and whatever. I realized that we have a lot of different experience around this now, and I thought.
Listen, I hope you mean you were waiting an hour and not that they had stuff on your hair for an hour.
No. It was like, this when it gets this feeling that it burns?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
An hour? No, girl, your hair should have been on the floor.
Long. Yeah, it was. Yeah, but sometimes it did. And then, it was not a good experience.
No.
Like that, obviously. And then when I have
beautician friends right now that are cringing right now. They're going to listen to this. They're cringing right now.
Yeah, I can understand that. Which also made these meetups with this African, whatever group this was, totally messed up, because they're like, why do they look like Oprah? basically. They were like, this is why, who did this to them? And like,
Not
touched it and like,
Oprah.
what is this? And we were like, oh, no, like, don't touch
Why
us.
do they look like Oprah? Is
And we, like, I don't, and we really didn't understand anything about this. And they obviously couldn't understand.
and the
us
word
either.
that you keep using a lot, and I'm wondering if it's something that you heard all the time, is exotic.
Yeah, I heard that a lot.
Yeah, I can
I
tell because
didn't
that's
hear-
you keep using that word, and it's
Yeah,
almost
it's
like
the only one that makes sense because it wasn't beautiful, it wasn't amazing, it wasn't special, it wasn't cute, it wasn't, it's not those words. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when somebody sees you and points out that you are different and gets an idea of what that means. Exotic. So that's why I'm using that word.
yeah. That give me a moment, cause whoo, and you're still a little girl. We haven't even moved on. You're still a little girl.
Yeah, I'm sorry
We're,
about
we're
that,
still
but-
right here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can fast forward at some period.
Yeah, we'll
obviously,
fast
but,
forward. I do want to know, because another thing I'm always interested in, when you are raised in a transracial, like so different, this beautiful Brazilian, at the time, little girl, and then you're over here in Sweden, when you start to date, what does that
how
look
was
like?
that?
Yeah.
That's a great question. So, the idea in general, people in Sweden and maybe Europe have about Brazilian is that they are dancing samba all the time, they always want to have sex, and they are always funny. Which, that's not helping at all when you're trying to date someone at all. Also, it's not helping because my internalized gaze is white at this time in my life when I'm a teenager.
Yep.
So I obviously ended up with a lot of white people, white men, I would say, that we did not match in what I was looking for or wanted, or how they were expressing themselves, or what they had the idea of me as a person. And I couldn't figure out why it was so wrong all the time. Like I really couldn't figure it out. But I could not date people in like a good way. Which brings me to my work as a sexologist.
That's why
because
I
this
went
was
there.
one of the questions.
That's why I
was
went
asked.
there.
The informants, I was like, how was this? And it's interesting to think about it, because I think if you're Asian, for example, or you get racialized as Asian, which could be so many different things also in this conversation, then the comments you will get will be different from the comments I got, or the ideas of who I am that I got.
Let me ask you this. Being that, like you said, they were looking at you as she's supposed to be dancing and be funny and be sexual, and did you buy into that as well?
Yeah, it's just that I didn't know what it means. But I really wanted to be Brazilian, of course. Like it was the biggest shame in not even knowing my language, not even like it wasn't. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't refer to anything. I was lying in school when I was younger. I pretended that I could speak Brazilian, which is not even a language. But
It's not a
knew.
language.
No,
Portuguese,
like
right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I was like 7 years old, so I think it's
You're like, yeah, I speak Brazilian, girl. What?
Yeah. And they're like, wow, it's good. I'm like,
Wow.
And then I was just crying about it because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh.
So that wasn't a good strategy, obviously.
Right. I speak Brazilian is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I want to know these young men, because in my brain, you're still in high school. Do you think they were with you because they actually liked you? Or I have this beautiful exotic Brazilian girl on my arm.
So I think it's either or. Like,
Okay.
I think I met a few people that was really, few people that was really wanting to honor who I was as a person.
Okay.
Because I'm funny, I'm playful, I'm, kind of crazy, and it's funny. But it doesn't matter if that is put in a box of, Brazilian or black or Latina or whatever it is, then it doesn't correlate with how I would like to be treated in every situation, or like in general in a relationship. It also doesn't protect you at all from the anti-blackness that is also in the Latino world, which I had no idea of when
Yeah,
I
we're
started
gonna
to
go
dance
there.
salsa.
We're gonna go there.
No,
We're
and
gonna go
I
there.
had no idea. I was just like, I found salsa and bachata. I'm like, yes, like this is, I found a piece of me. And I couldn't understand why it was such a messy things in these clubs. Like, I could not figure it out. And obviously nobody told me either. So it was like, understanding one piece of
Yeah.
something, which just led me to falling into another black hole
Another
somewhere
whole
else.
and
And
a
I'm
whole
like,
nother thing. But hold
yeah.
on. We're gonna get there because yes. Because yes. Okay, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because I'm still in your relationship business. I'm all in your business right now. So you're so when do you, and I am gonna get to when you finally like get to the biological side of your family, but I have to ask this. When do you finally get to date someone that's either Brazilian or black? Like, what was your first experience? What were they?
So I'm happy that you asked, because I think I can remember that I dated one black guy,
Okay.
and that was like 5 dates. So it wasn't really like dating in a serious relationship. I did have like a one night stand with a black guy also a couple of years ago,
Okay.
but it's so no, I never had
No.
that experience of being mirrored like that in a relationship,
Even to this day?
even to this day.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
wasn't
a
ready
lot
for
of
that
questions.
answer.
I know. And I've been thinking a lot about that, because I'm like, how did this happen? Like, why did I, and how much of the things that are challenging then in a relationship is because we have a hard time understanding each other or understanding each other's words. But I wish I knew, like, if I could have a map for that, that would be great.
Do you see
Like,
the look on my face? You're,
yes, I know. I'm waiting for the map.
I was not ready for that answer.
But if we turn the question then, and like, how would you describe what is the benefits or the good things or the beautiful things in dating somebody that has the same skin color as you, or that
Yeah.
identify in the same way as you, or however you want to express it?
Yeah. And yeah. There's something beautiful about it, sure. Because
Of course. But how would
you
you
could,
describe it?
I would describe it as being able to be with someone that you mirror. I think there's just things that you can relate to because of your cultural experiences are similar, and they're just things that you get that the other race may not get, or you might have to explain it. There's just some things are just unspoken, and I'm just thinking about me and my husband. They're just things that we can just glance at. I can just throw a look and he'll know, or I'll know, and we'll just laugh. You don't even have to talk because
It's
you
obvious.
just know.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it's worth because I have the same idea of why it would be amazing and beautiful. I'm 100% with you in
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's
How
just
you never got there? You are blowing my mind.
I know. People say that all the time. They're like, "How did you do this?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. Like, I wish I knew, like how it
So you
turned out."
mentioned,
But
because you're a mother, correct? You are a mom.
yeah,
Okay. And your child is
I have two
your child.
sons that
Okay.
are white passing because they are mixed, so they are much more white than me. They're like
Wow.
white, which that can annoy the shit out of me from time to time. I'm like, oh, so you can pass on this, but I cannot?
Girl, you're a trap.
I know. That's how it feels. It feels like I put myself in a trap and I could not figure this out. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. I couldn't. I figured it out now, like a couple of years ago. I'm like, why did I, like, I made this so hard from this point of view. But I'm also, if I would date somebody that is black, then that's the opposite. And that's for me somebody that I would recognize myself in, but I would also not recognize myself.
You would also not recognize yourself in.
No.
Let me ask you this real quick. Okay, I have two questions because I'm going to turn another corner. In Sweden, because the word I'm hearing you use a lot is black. So are you either just black or white in Sweden? Is there no Brazilian, Hispanic? It kind of how it is in the United States. You just have this.
No, we don't. We're not so specific with how we express, how we identify ourselves.
Okay.
Because we can still not talk about race or ethnicity in Sweden because we're still colorblind. So it doesn't matter. It's more like either white passing and then you play those cards.
Passing and then you play those cards.
Or you're not. And then you have this whole...
And then you had a whole nother deck of cards to play from.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Turning the corner.
Yes.
So your biological side. First, I want to know how you found them. Because did you had a closed adoption? Meaning,
I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, did you have any information about your biological family?
I did. But I didn't know how to find them. Okay. But since my adoption was made in private,
correct,
I just emailed the lawyer that made the adoption and I said, "Can you find my mom's address?" And he said, "Sure." And it took him 7 days. And then he was like, "Here is her address. Good luck."
This is real different. Yeah. Real different.
That's a privilege. This is a big privilege. Like to
absolutely.
Have
absolutely.
Big privilege.
So when you get this, how old are you? Let me ask you that. How old are you when you're doing this?
21.
Oh, you're young. Okay.
Yeah, 21 and a half or something like this because I got pregnant with my first somewhere here. Okay. And then it got, very important to know my roots and to try to navigate what this was and not was and all of these things.
Okay,
so I was 21 or 22.
You get this address and then...
So because I've been thinking about it for years. I'm like, should I try? Should I not try? Okay. Will she be angry? What should I say? How everybody's, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. And one day I just woke up and I was like, it has to be now. Now I know. And I'm doing it now. And I emailed this lawyer and I got this answer. And I wrote a letter. Or I wrote it by hand. And I couldn't translate it to Portuguese. Because this was also before, Google Translate. And I didn't know anyone who spoke Portuguese. So I called the Brazilian embassy. And I was like, "Can you help me to translate this?" They're like, "No, that's not our job." And I'm like, "But you have to do it. Nobody else can do it." And they're like, "No." And I've never been so upset in my whole life in the phone with an authority.
I can't believe you called them and you was like, "Look, translate this."
Yeah. And I was screaming.
It was like, "Girl, no."
And it was so stupid that he said no. And he realized this, obviously. And he was like, "Okay, send me an email. I will translate it." So he did in the end. Okay. And then I wrote it by hand and I sent it in a normal, real letter.
What year is this?
2008 or 2009.
Okay.
So it's 15 years ago now,
Okay.
more or less, más o menos. And I got back an email from my mom after like another week. So this is like a 2-week period from that I made the decision until I actually had an answer, which is like so crazy if you think about it.
Yes.
How long people are.
Yes.
Yeah, so crazy. So much privilege.
But her letter comes back in look, in Portuguese, right?
Yeah. And
So
then I
you
called
gotta
the
get somebody to
embassy.
translate it.
Yeah, I gave it to the embassy again, and he's like, okay, this is the last time I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
And what did she
And then
say?
my mom she said she's very religious. She's Catholic.
Okay.
She wrote something about me being like, it's a gift of God that I came back, that she never thought this would happen. It couldn't be more like special that this is what happens now. And where am I? Who am I?
All the things, right?
Yeah. And then I went there like 4 months later or something, like Christmas 2009 or 2008, I don't remember. I think 2008, 2009. So I met her and my little sister then the first time.
Okay.
And celebrated Christmas with them.
What was that like? Because that's different.
So in Sweden, when we celebrate Christmas, we meet our relatives. We don't want to hang out with them too long because we all need to be lagom. We don't want to be too much. We don't want to be too little. So we say, eat dinner, look on cartoons, hang out a couple of hours, and then people, give you presents.
That is not what is happening in Brazil.
No.
I can see that.
It is not. Wow.
She said, wow.
And I made such a fool out of myself, because I was so emotional all the time. I was crying all the time, basically. Every time I looked at my mom, I was crying. And every time I looked at my little sister, she was like 8 at this time or something, I was just crying. I was like, it's
Do you look like your mom? Did you see
my parents are. So my mom is white, like white passing. She looks like, okay, so wait, let me rephrase that. In her world, she is white. In my perspective, she is like Portuguese. Okay. She looks like she's from Portugal. If I would just, come with an idea from my upbringing, I'm like, this is not white. For me, like the wall is white, this is white. I'm like, that's white. That's the whiteness I know. So no, I didn't have this feeling of being held in my identity with her, because this was what I was looking for. I didn't know that was what I was looking for, but that was what I was looking for.
Yeah, that genetic mirror. Yeah.
Yeah, which I didn't get with her. And my little sister is also white, like Portuguese white.
Yeah.
Now but my grandfather is black though. And when I saw him, I was like, look at that! Like the same face, the same smile, like we moved the same. And I was like, oh look! And it's like love at first sight.
Yeah.
I never had that.
Yeah.
So cool. That's like the best thing that ever happened. That. And nobody got it. There's like, you don't even understand what he's saying. And I'm like, I don't care.
Look at him.
I don't care. I just want to look at him.
I don't care what he's saying. Look at him.
No.
But what was he saying? Did somebody translate for you?
Yeah. Like nobody knows what he's saying. He just have one teeth and he just talk about his veggies and his stuff. And I was just looking and crying and like, look at him.
She said he just had one tooth. And okay.
Yeah. And he, we couldn't talk about anything because he cannot read. So he is one person that does this thumb, to sign things. And so we don't, we couldn't get to know each other either.
But hold on, wait, back up for me. So you go to Brazil and you don't even have a translator with you. You are just in Brazil.
Yeah. I trusted my mom would find a translator, which she did. The son of the priest in the church.
Okay.
That was great. So we spent a lot of time at the priest house. Yeah.
Oh, how fun for you.
That's great when you're not really religious. That's great. I made such a fool out of myself in that. Wow.
Oh, wow. So, do you know why you were given up for adoption? Were you able to get that side of the story?
I do. And for me, that is like the biggest deal breaker for me, because I don't talk with my mom after this. I tried, here and there. I don't talk with her. I don't talk with anyone after this.
Okay.
Because it's a total deal breaker. And I would, so I just wanted to say that before I explain why. Because it's a reason that I cannot live with. And the only way for me to actually live with it is to not internalize that truth, or not to be in that. Because what happened when I was there, and I was pregnant, it was the second time I was there, and I met my mom, and I met my aunt, who is 1 year older than my mom. And she's a hairdresser, so she wanted to do my hair. And then I looked like Oprah again also. Just want to say that.
Because she's white passing too. Your aunt. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Why couldn't anybody braid it or lock it, or just do something and let it be? No, like, they were not what they... Anyway. And my cousins came to this hairdresser place. And my cousins, which is the children of my aunt. So they are 1 year older than me.
Okay.
And 1 year younger. And they were there, and she was pregnant, and they had their kids also white passing, all of them. And I was just like, wow, this is so crazy. I have like the biggest family suddenly. But how did you make the decision to leave one? How are you pregnant with your first, and you know that you cannot keep all of the kids? How do you make that decision? Who is going to do it?
Okay, hold on. Before you answer that, let me just understand. Your biological mom, you're her oldest?
Yes.
Okay.
She kept the other two.
She kept the other two. Okay, go ahead.
So that's what I know. That I don't knew at that point that they couldn't keep all of us because they didn't have the money. And I was like, how do you make that decision? If you're pregnant, because I had 1 year between my cousin, that is 1 year older and 1 year younger, how do you make the decision of who to keep?
Wait. Because I just got to understand. So your aunt has children, and you are your mother's first.
Yes.
And
so the sisters, my mom and my aunt, were pregnant basically in the same time.
At the same time. And then you
because
had
my cousins is 1 year older and 1 year younger.
And then you, and then the cousin.
Yes.
All right, go.
And she was like, well, we couldn't keep all of you. And I was like, how do you make that decision? Like, how do you do it? You're two sisters, nobody in a relationship. You're pregnant with your first. You both know that you cannot keep all of the kids, because of money or whatever. Mm-hmm. How do you decide? And I was like, I couldn't find the reason. And
the fathers are not around.
No, not for my aunt, like my cousin's father, no. Mine, not around.
Okay.
They were 16 and 17 or something like this when they were pregnant. So it's like, it wasn't possible. And I couldn't figure out. I'm like, how do you make this decision? How? Like, how do you do it? And she looked at me with the translator, and she told me that, look, so I did everything when I was pregnant. I went swimming. I, was eating, a lot of veggies. I was doing everything because it was like, I didn't know. Like, we couldn't make this decision. And I was like, but how did you do it? Like, it's eating my brain out. How? And I had the biggest, deepest respect for her in this moment. Until she told me that, when I was born and she realized, or she saw how black I am, then she knew that she wouldn't keep me. And it's like it was impossible to breathe. It's like hard to breathe when I talk about it 15 years later as well. But it's like, there is no way I couldn't, like, I couldn't do anything. I wasn't prepared at all on that. I had this, I had a list of suggestions or ideas that worked okay for me, whatever it was, all of these things that we think about, or that could be the reasons.
So she said when she first looked at you, because you were too dark, she was not going to keep you.
And I was like, I think
and she told you
my
that.
heart. Yeah, to my face, around all of these other people in my family. And I was like, I think you broke my heart. Like, I think it broke. Like, I cannot breathe. And she's like, but Brazil is very racist. And I'm like, no, you are the racist. That's the problem. It's not, and I was so devastated. I didn't say anything useful.
You're in Brazil at this moment.
Yeah.
Away from
and I was
home.
Pregnant.
And so you're real emotional.
Yeah. And
real hormonal.
I couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't think. I couldn't eat. I couldn't.
And how much longer was your stay? Like
a week. Oh. That was great.
So do you ever get any information about your father? Because you got to get your looks from somewhere.
Yeah, so now you're turning into another corner here. So I met the man. No, so there is a name in the birth certificate.
Okay.
And I asked her about it. I was like, is this my father? Can we meet him? And she's like, that's not the same guy. This is just a random name. And I was like, okay. Do you know him? And she's like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, maybe.
Right.
Maybe you call him. Yeah. She's like, no, we can just go there and surprise him. And I'm like, that's not what we do. That's the fucking worst idea I ever heard. No, maybe you email him or call him and ask if.
She said, let's go surprise him at his
like,
house.
Sometimes I'm like, really? Are we related? Like, why would that be a good idea? Jesus Christ. So, we met this guy, which I couldn't really relate to him. I didn't look like him. He's also like Portuguese. And I was like, how many kids do you have? Like, how is your life? What are you doing? And he's like, I have 5 kids. And I'm like, 5? So I have 4 siblings. And he's like, I'm not counting you as my kid. I have 5 kids. And I was like, oh, okay. So why are you here then? Like, why are we hanging out if this is the attitude? And he's like, no, but I just, your mom wanted me to come. And I was like, okay. So you're not going to tell them? You're not, like, are you not going to tell them that I'm here? He's like, no, I would never tell them.
Is he white passing as well?
Yes. And I was like, wow, that's great. That's great, really. And I was like, is this a joke?
Right.
Like, what are
right. Am I on?
Joking?
Is somebody going to hop out with some cameras and go, this is all the same trip?
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with you guys. I'm like, I
But is this for real? Because you never took a DNA. Did you take a DNA test or have you done that?
I did now.
2
years ago.
2 years ago.
But the funny part is that nobody's taking a DNA test to see if we're a match or not. Surprise! So because I did a DNA
Ooh.
test, I was so upset. Um, and I texted my dad or whoever he is on Facebook, and I was like, no, because he texts me every time on his birthday when he's drunk on WhatsApp in Portuguese. And every time I text him back, and I'm like, I don't speak Portuguese. What do you want? And he's, oh, blah, 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 I'm coming to Switzerland. And I'm like, good, because I live in Sweden, but go to Switzerland, have fun. Like,
I was gonna say, you don't live in Switzerland.
like, and I'm like, yeah, whatever.
You're like, great, yeah, go ahead to Switzerland, because I'm not there.
Have fun, have fun. And then the last time I was like, do you even know if you're my dad or not?
Right, that's it's questionable for me. It's very questionable for me.
It's more questionable now, because he's like, look, your mom told me that she had a child when you came. I didn't know before. And I was like, I'm sorry, you got the information when I came? You didn't know that she was pregnant before? He's like, no. So she just asked me to come and spend some time with you when you were there. So I did.
No, I need some DNA evidence. I'm not sold on him.
Yeah, and that's what I said. And I was like, okay, I will just send you this DNA test, okay? Give me your address. I will pay for it and I will send it to you. Funny part is that I don't have his address now. I think it's 2 years later, because he is busy driving. He is building a new house. He is having a cold. He will send it to me late. You can make a list out of the bullshit excuses.
All the things.
And I'm just like, how can you not want this truth? Why is this a thing for you? What is the good part about holding this information from me? What? Like, how does this make sense? And it's like, but we don't need to make a big thing out of it. And I'm like,
well, yeah.
But just take the fucking test.
Take the test.
How hard can it be? I'm sending it to your address. So, give me your fucking address.
When you took your DNA test, you had some matches in there, yeah?
Not with anybody from my biological family, because nobody else did the DNA test.
Nobody has. So, nothing? No matches? Not even distant relatives? No matches?
No, it's like 1%, no, not even 1. It's like 0.2% to that person, which could be the cousin of
super,
the cousin, whatever.
Right, way down the line. Wow.
So no, nothing. And I'm like, why is this? How is this so complicated? Why cannot just send it and just we know? Because then I would block your ass, and
right, because you already getting on my nerves. So there's that.
No. Okay. No, and then I wrote to my mom, and I was like, is this you? Like, are you telling him to not do it? And why? Like, why can you tell him to do the DNA test? And she's like, oh, I think he's afraid that his wife will find out. And I'm like, which wife? He's been married 4 times, and all of his kids is adult. How could this matter? I'm like, what is the secret here? Can somebody, can you level out?
You know what's crazy to me? It was so easy for you to find these people. Mm-hmm. Which normally people, that's the hard part. Then you get here, and in a matter of weeks, a few days, all of this.
Yeah, this is like an ongoing process of trying to figure it
after
out.
All these years.
People not listening and people don't. Yeah, so this I tried so many times to figure this shit out. And now we are at the end of it. It's like, I'm not getting these answers. And that then, to answer your question an hour ago, so then this is the truth, that she left me because I'm Black. I don't know who my father is, because I obviously don't have a biological father anymore, which I thought was my biological father.
Sure.
For 15 years.
Because I'm not sold on that either. I'm not sold on that.
Who would be sold on that? I'm like, it's a joke.
It's a joke.
No. And then
and she was 16. Yeah. Who? Girl. Yeah.
No. And then I didn't get anything. I didn't get a connection to my country. I didn't get a connection with my family. Really. I didn't. Yeah. I don't feel welcomed or held or home or accepted, because it's just not possible to feel that.
So does So does your adopted do your adopted parents, what do they say about all this? Or do you tell them?
So I haven't told them everything because I needed to save them from this, because this was, totally out of their idea of how things could happen. But I did
But
take my little sister.
Back up for me. Why do you feel like you need to save them from this?
Because we're not living in the same world. So if I need to say something about an experience that is for me, that is like deeply painful,
okay,
then I know that they cannot.
She said we're not living in the same world. That is
no, and we're not. No, no matter how we're trying, we're not.
We're not living in the same world.
And I brought my little sister to Portugal a couple of years ago, because I was like, okay, if I can do something, it would be to try to get to know my little sister. Okay. And she doesn't have a dad, it's messy, everything. And we were planning for it. I was like, get your college degree, get your driver license, learn English. I will send money every month and I will bring you to Portugal because it's Portuguese. And, I can figure that out, and she can build something in Portugal with me, and she can get to know the kids. And I'm like, it's a win-win. If we can pull this off, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was not a good decision. Just to summarize, it was a really bad decision for so many reasons. But the really good thing about this was that my parents from Sweden flew down and met us, and then they could video call with my biological mom because they never met. And my sister and I could translate. So they actually got to say hi to each other and look at each other and oh, thank you.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was so beautiful, that moment, though, for them. I just felt like I'm in outer space. But I was like, this is really...
Why was that important for you to happen? Especially after what your biological mom told you.
So I think my mom in Sweden, had this strong feeling this strong fear that I would replace her when I went looking for my biological family. And that was not, that was never.
Never is. It never
that
is.
That was never like that. It just, she couldn't say that in words. And I didn't realize it really either until later. I was so focused
it isn't,
on myself.
To me, when I hear that, it's another way for them to have making this about themselves. When us as adoptees going to find our people has nothing to do with them. This is about me wanting to know, or whomever wanting to know where I come from. This don't have nothing to do with you. Period.
No, not at all.
Nothing.
But that fear was so strong that it kind of blocked us from having a relationship, really, because we just couldn't talk. We couldn't do anything. And we didn't have the best relationship before that either. But when I could sit down at this table with this video call and say, so Mom, this is my parents, this is my mom, and this is my dad, then something clicked for them that this was still true. They were still my parents. It
Absolutely.
wasn't. And I think that was extremely important for them and for us, because it cleared the...
I get it.
The way.
I understand. I get it.
And I ended up having the biggest fight with my sister, which is a long story. But I basically told her to go and, fuck up the relationship with your mom. Don't involve me or mine. You have yours. Then you go back and you mess this thing up. You don't get in between here. No. And my mom from Sweden heard this, and she was like, wow, you really
well, yeah,
think
because
that
you're
I am
still
your
my
mom?
Yes.
I'm like, yeah.
Yes,
hello.
you are. Yes.
I'm like, that's not questionable. That
No.
was never a question. No?
Okay, so I gotta turn the corner, because professionally.
Yeah.
Tell the people what you do professionally.
Professionally, I'm a legalized counselor. I am a sexologist. a somatic sex educator. I have a certification as a sex coach. And I work with individuals or couples. I build online courses, workshops. I do lectures and educate social workers, future sexologists, and therapists in sexual health, but more commonly the intersection of mental health and sexual health,
Right.
specializing in international adoptees.
And there it is with adoptees.
Yeah.
How, if you could say what from, and I'm sure it was a number of things, but if you could pull one thing out from your personal experience that landed you to say, you know what, I need to become a sexologist. People need to know, people need to understand what to do, why to do it. How do we get from this to here?
I think a lot of adoptee therapists can relate to, like, nobody knows how to heal me. I need to do it on my own. And then we study counseling. Or
you sound like Dr. Garland.
Yes, like I think a lot of us has done that with that intention at start. But the interest for me in sexual health and sexology came when I got a divorce 7 years ago or whatever it was. And I was like, I'm so lost. What do I even like? What do I even appreciate?
7
What
years
should I
ago,
do?
and you're still having these questions about yourself at your big age.
Because who would mirror it?
Because who would mirror it? Oh my God, that's so good.
I didn't even have a black therapist until now, like this year. And every time I see her, I'm like, look at her. And she's like,
you're like, look at you. She's like, girl.
I'm like, you can adopt me just a little bit. She's like,
and I love that you said that, because you are a counselor, you are a licensed, all the things, and you yourself have a therapist.
Yeah, we all should have one.
We all
like
should.
In periods of time, we all should. Because what is healing for us is different in different ages and different stages of our lives, always. And it's different ways that we can heal. Like Dr. Garland, like writing.
Yeah.
It's a perfect way for her. And I love when she talks about writing, because it's like she really
Lights
can explain.
Up. That girl, look, I tell her all the time, that girl is lethal with the pen and a piece of paper.
Yes. Yes. And for me, when I was asking myself this question, I was like, what do I even like? Like, I need to choose something that I like to study or to do more or whatever. And I was like, can I study dance? Like, I always loved dance. And I was like, can I study it? And I was like, oh, dance and movement therapy. I will take that. And then I was like, what am I interested about? And I'm like, sex is pretty, like, why is it so many taboos? Why is it so hard? I'm like, can you study sex? Like, can you? And it's like, oh, a Master of Science in Sexology. Like,
did you
do that too.
struggle with that? Did you struggle with sex?
So I think the struggle has been growing up to understand what sexual liberation is. Like, how can you feel liberated in a sexual meeting or a sexual connection? Because what I commonly see, both in the research I'm doing, but also with clients, and also if I think about myself, is that sex can turn into an arena. It is an arena where everything is there. Mm-hmm. Your anxiety from earlier that day, the internalized racism or, white supremacy norms that you have, racial fetish, your self-esteem or not, the shame you have, like everything is there. You just don't think about it like that so often.
Yeah, never heard it, but you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because if you think about it, it is there. Because
it is there.
In your nervous system, it's in your experience. You're not, it's not like you, oh, I'm so horny, great, in the evening if your grandmother died in the morning. That's not how it works. It's all of you that is there. And then we need to think about it like it's all of us. So that part is really interesting for me around sexuality or sexual health. So it's the intersection of mental health and sexual health, basically, which I'm interested in.
And then if you tie in being an adoptee to that, that's another whole another layer.
It is. Because, who are you attracted to and why?
And why?
And do you choose the right type of partners for you, what you actually need, or do you choose what you want, what you think that you want? Or if you have challenges with your attachment still or whatever, then are you choosing somebody that's actually going to choose you? Or are you choosing somebody that you need to fight for in bed? Or, there's so many layers here. And do you want to, do you like to leave control? Like to let go? Are you feeling free when you are in a sexual connection? Or is it the opposite, that you prefer to be the one in control? Or do you need to have the lights off or not because you don't want to look at yourself? Like there's so many things here.
Oh my gosh. So many things.
Yes. And then I'm like, there has to be something here that is worth talking more about.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Nobody really talked about adoptees' sexual health. And I'm like, how can we not do that? How would I not have performance anxiety if adoptees have the highest rate of anxiety and all of the other bullshit statistic that we have? How would I not have problems with my sex life? How? I'm like, that's not making sense.
And
like,
it's
of course
not talked about. It's not.
No.
Because off the top of my head, you and Dr. Garland and y'all are the only two talking about it. That I know.
And it's a process, and people didn't. I think we never, as a group, we never got the chance to look at this properly, because what we always heard, the narratives, is that we should be grateful. Should be happy. So that means you should be grateful.
You should be grateful
for the bad sex, maybe.
And
also,
grateful for the bad sex.
Or what does it mean? How would we know what it means? Like, okay,
grateful but also, for the bad sex is wild.
But somewhere that might be what people think.
Yeah,
like, I should be grateful for this, or I should. Somebody wants me, or this is how it feels to be wanted. Me. But also, like, mental health and sexual health sits together. They come together always. Then, if we're just going to say that, it's attachment theory, it's because we have a broken attachment that we are not, having relationships that works. But that's bullshit. How would the racism that I'm experiencing when I'm growing up, how would that not affect my relationship and the quality and the sex? How?
Because not only did you grow up with the racism, then you went and found your family and still had to deal with the racism. Oof.
Yeah, that's great. I was like, really? Okay. What should I do now? So it's like it doesn't add up for me. We can talk about attachment also. But I'm like, I don't want to hear that as the only reason for why we are not having good sex, or feeling that we can talk about it, or feel that we can, keep our relationships, or that we cannot, deal with our traumas or whatever, because it's just about the attachment. It's because I'm broken. No, that's not okay. Because if this is what people have been telling us, which they have, more or less, that's the leading narrative in general about attachment theory, then I'm happy to be challenging that. I might be wrong, but I'm happy to see if I'm wrong, because I don't think I'm 100% wrong. I think there's other sides here.
I don't think you're 100% wrong either. I want to ask you a question. Dealing with the racism, and I'm wrapping it up, I promise. Dealing with the racism.
It's not so easy to wrap up.
I know. When you look in the mirror, do you love what you see?
I do now. Which is maybe more about how I feel in my body and what it looks like. Okay. It's more like how I walk, how I hold myself, how music feels in my hips, how I'm feeling in my body. There was a time where I didn't recognize myself when I looked at myself in photos, where I'm like, I don't know that person. Like I cannot relate to what I see, which is such a mind fuck when you realize you're like, whoa, wait a second, like, how is that even possible? Like, how many layers is there here to unfold and like fix? That was a bad realization. No, good, but also like, wow, not great. But I also now, I only wear clothes that I love. I threw all of my clothes out that I hate. I just buy these type of clothes that I love. That's the only thing I'm wearing. I'm not wearing any other bullshit. And I'm
So can you describe what you love versus what you had to throw out? Give me an example of one thing you threw out and one thing you kept.
Like pants that are just not, because the body type I have, there is no clothes in Sweden that matches that you're short.
Girl, no, because I'm sure you're curvy. I'm sure you're a curvy girl.
There's no clothes that matches that, and the jeans are always too long, and I'm like, it's not feeling good.
Right.
And so now I buy African print fabric here in Thailand, and I like do my own ideas on clothes, and I come there and I'm like, I want this. I want this. I want the jumpsuit. I want the skirt with pockets, like big pockets.
Aren't pockets great? Why are pockets so great? Pockets are so great.
And I'm like, who did this? Like, who did this to us?
I don't know what it is about pockets. I love pockets.
No. And I think feeling that I'm free in my body and my expressions. So
that's what it sounds like. You're very liberated.
I'm trying. It's been a hard work, but it's also no way to do things differently anymore. Like, it's not. You cannot know all of these things by experience and professionally and choose something else. That's not possible. It doesn't work.
It's not.
No,
okay.
You cannot go back.
No, you can't. No, absolutely you cannot. Okay, this is my last question for you. If you had to say anything to an adoptee about their sexual well-being, what would you tell them?
I would want to tell everybody to think about the function, the sex in that day, the next day, that week, the week before had or have for that, which could mean that it's, self-sex or sex with somebody else or with multiple people, or like, it doesn't matter. But what is the function? What is the reason? Is it to feel close? Is it to deal with anxiety? Is it to get pregnant? Is it to, what is the function of it? Mm-hmm. And if we can find the function that it has today, tomorrow, whatever, and obviously it's different functions all the time, then we can be more conscious about the decision if we actually want to enter a sexual connection with ourselves or with somebody else or not. But if I'm just walking around with this high arousal anxiety and I think that I'm sexually aroused, then I might choose an action or a behavior that is not really benefiting me. So the function, that I would say. Yeah, and just you can ask yourself, what is the function? Like, if I would have sex today, later, whatever, what would be the function? How am I feeling? Like, am I in playful mode? Am I alone? Am I trying? What is it? And just sit with that. There's no right or wrong, obviously. But if we don't know, then we cannot change or think about it differently either.
And on that note, and on that note, I want to thank you for coming and having this amazing conversation with me that I was very excited about.
So many crazy corners everywhere.
So many.
Yeah.
So don't leave me. Hold on one second. And on that note, bye, family.
Journey on. You need a pie, what they good? Oh yeah, what the one?